Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Tiffany, and as you know, I do videos around planners, human design, tarot stuff. So today what I have for you is a conversation that I have with my friend who's a manifesting generator. And I have this interest in talking to people in my life who have things in their human design body graph chart that I do not. And she has channel 3420, which is the channel of charisma. It's about literally speaking things into existence. So I'm a manifesting generator myself, and we just have a manifesting generator chat about channel 3420, but then we also get into talking about manifestation in general. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I really wanted to bring you on here because I wanted to have more conversations about people's human design charts and some of the things that I see when I do these human design readings. And I especially want to talk to people who have stuff that I don't have, because I think that it's difficult for me to really understand at a deep level what it's like to really have a dynamic in the chart. And I want to talk a little bit about how we met and like what we thought when we knew when we were manifesting generators and what that experience was like. But I also want to talk about some of these dynamics you have in your chart because you have channel 2034, which is called the channel of charisma, which is about speaking things into existence. So I want to get into that. And then I want to maybe talk about some other things that you have going on in your chart, but you have a lot of energy and a lot of power in your chart that I frankly do not have in mine, and would love to kind of talk to you about how that shows up for you. So we met. When did we meet? Was it 21 or was it 22? Was it like spring of 22?
I think it was February of 22.
Yeah. And so I did a human design reading for you. You found out about me through Jenna Zoe's website. And
Mhm.
we did the reading. And then I think during that conversation, we established, I think I said something along the lines of, well, hey, I'm working on a business too, or something. And if you ever want to connect, let me know. And then you reached back out to me. And then we've been basically friends ever since. So let me ask you this: when you found out you were a manifesting generator, and you learned about your chart, what tell me, share anything you want to just share about that experience.
So I discovered what human design was through, believe it or not, Catherine Zinkina. And Catherine
Okay.
Zinkina was the one who talked about Jenna Zoe.
Okay.
And she would say, like, oh my gosh, my life has changed so much since I found out what type of person that I am in my human design. Once I found out my design, my life unfolded. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want my life to unfold. So I started like, doing a little bit of research, and I went on to Jenna Zoe's page, and there were a lot of readers there. And I think at the time, I don't know how many there are at the moment, but there was close to like 20. And I think intuitively, when I saw your photograph, I was like, yep, she's the one. But I went through every single person and I watched all their introductory videos, and I wanted to see if I kind of jived with them, if I felt like that good energy. And when I got to your video, I was like, yep, I knew it. So I knew that there was some, I don't know, for lack of a better word, some cosmic energy thing, compatibility going on in some strange way. And then when I saw that you were also a manifesting generator, I was like, well, okay, that's cool. She's going to understand me because she's one too. So then we booked the class, or we booked the reading, and the reading was amazing. And it really kind of explained some things about my personality that I wasn't really sure about. And that, quite frankly, it was amazing because I felt like you gave me permission to be myself and permission to change and to pivot into things. And of course, now we've, had many conversations over the course of the past year and a half. But that was probably the most life-changing, was the fact that I felt like what I was doing was part of who I was, like the fabric of myself, and that was okay. And I felt understood, I felt seen, I just felt comfortable. And I think that also laid the groundwork for our friendship as well, because of those things in common. And I just felt so comfortable being with you because of those things too. I mean, the way that you explained it was really good and made me feel like I'm 100% okay to be myself, which I mean, that feels amazing. So,
What do you feel like you've changed since that point as far as just how you move through the world, has there, where have you maybe released, I want to say, like things that maybe you thought were negatives about yourself that might now you understand, okay, I'm designed to be this way.
well, I think the probably the number one thing is that I've let go of feeling like a failure. I really like decided that it's okay to pivot and that all the things that I've experienced in the past have been for my benefit and not because I've failed or because I've been flighty or because I've all of that. That's probably the number one thing. I don't feel like a failure anymore. I feel like instead of being a failure, I feel like I've just been preparing. And
Mhm.
those pivots along the way have been adjustments and alignments and, my little cart, okay, go this way. Okay, now it's time to go this way, and kind of collecting nuggets along the way versus I'm a lot more compassionate towards myself,
Mhm.
which, oh my gosh, that feels amazing to not feel like a failure. Like everybody, no, that's an icky feeling. Like nobody wants to feel like that. So that's probably number one, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, it's so funny because you use the word flighty. And I remember when I first, so it's so funny also that you heard about human design through somebody who talks about manifestation. So Catherine Zenkina talks about manifestation. I learned about Jenna Zoe and human design through Lacey Phillips in her To Be Magnetic work. And I remember I was driving to work and I heard this podcast and Jenna Zoe was talking about all the different energy types. And I'm like, I've always been into like Myers-Briggs and Enneagram and all that stuff. And so I was like, I have to know. And as soon as I got home, I looked up manifesting generator, did not even have a reading because I didn't even know who to like reach out to for that at that point. And Jenna Zoe at that point, I think she had shut her readings down because she was so overwhelmed. Like her calendar wasn't even open. But so when I read the description, I felt like, oh my gosh, this explains
Hmm.
why I'm so crazy. And I don't mean crazy into the bad sense of the word, but why I'm so a little bit all over the place and why I'm so multi-passionate. And
Yep.
I think I remember my husband came home and I was like, just so you know, I looked at my energy type and I'm a manifesting generator. And so I'm not flighty. Not that he was saying I was flighty, but I know that he would be like, okay, what is she into now?
Right.
What does she want to do now? What book is she buying now? What thing is she talking about? What thing is it now? Because I've always kind of moved from whether it's different wellness. I did paleo for a while. I did the virgin diet for a while. I was always into something. I did the autoimmune protocol for a while. And then I was into essential oils for a while. And then I was just, it's always shifted to something. And so I remember telling him, like, hey, like, this is who I am. And I remember just feeling this sense of just, I'm not flighty. This is just who I am. And the more that I can trust this voice that tells me to follow the thing that's interesting to me, it's going to lead me to the thing, to the thing, to the thing that's going to get me where I want to be. So, I mean, I remember just really having that experience too. And that word flighty was definitely one of those negative words I had about myself. And now I just embrace it. I'm just like, moving on to the next thing.
Yes.
To the best of my ability, I do. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So anything else you want to say about your human design chart or anything else comes to mind?
Let's see. Well, I feel like I'm constantly learning, which to be honest is as a manifesting generator is like part of the intrigue. Because you know that part of being a manifesting generator, in my opinion, is moving on to the next thing that feels exciting, but it's also exciting to learn. And so with with human design, I feel like it's a constant learning, like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, I didn't know that that was part of my design as well. So I think being in connection with you, I feel very fortunate that I feel like I get these little nuggets along the way that things start to continue to unfold about my personality, the way that I kind of navigate the world. And Once again, it just goes back to I'm in the right place, the right time, talking to the right people because this is how I'm designed. So it's constantly, to me, it's not been something that I've wanted to put on the shelf yet. I really still find it to be very intriguing and very interesting. And I'm definitely not at the place where I can help others with this. I mean, I don't know that that's my path, but I just really am still very curious about it. It really piques my curiosity still.
Mhm. Yeah, there's so many layers to a chart. And it's also one of those things like I think reading tarot cards or oracle cards for yourself is hard. I think reading your own human design chart is really hard because it's difficult to see yourself. I will do readings sometimes and I'll be talking about a gate or a channel that I have, and then I'll be like, oh, but I won't say that out loud but I'm like, oh, because I'm saying it to somebody else, and I'm like, oh, okay, how do I see myself reflected in this when I have that? So
Mhm.
yeah. All right. So I want to talk about the channel of charisma, and you have that in your chart. And this channel has been absolutely fascinating to me ever since I went through my training, ever since I learned about it, because there are a few people in my life who have this channel. It's channel 2034. It connects from the throat energy center to the sacral energy center. So in human design, the sacral energy center is all about desire. It's about a lot of things, but it is about desire, right? And it creates energy. And then it connects to the throat, which is about speaking, right? Like speaking your truth. So when you have the sacral connected to the throat, first of all, it makes you a manifesting generator for sure. But then also, it's about speaking things into existence. And what I started to observe, because you have this, my husband has this channel, and then my very good friend for a long time has this channel. And what I started to observe was first with my friend and then with my husband was that they would say something and it came true. And it would be things that seemed like it seemed like these were things that were not possible to come true. It was almost like it was truly manifestation happening. And I wasn't seeing that same pattern in myself because I don't have that channel. I don't have either gate. And I cannot tell you a time in my life when I reflect back where I can say, oh, yeah, I spoke something into existence. It just has not happened for me. But yet I saw my husband, for example, say to me one day we were on this walk, he was saying to me, hey, I think that we're going to move out of the state sooner than we think. And at that point, his youngest was, I want to say like 10. And I was like, there is no way this is happening. He's crazy. I'm like, of course, on my walk, I'm like, okay, whatever. But like in my head, I'm like, you're crazy. Like, this is not happening. We're not moving out of the state anytime soon because kids are too young. There's just not going to be any reason that this is going to happen. And then it wasn't 6 months later that we were moving to Miami, Florida. And I'm just like, whoa. And it wasn't even just that instance. After he said that, he also said, hey, I think I might be able to get this job at this YouTube channel. Would you be okay if that happened? And he never talks about what ifs. Like this man is somebody who lives in the present moment. And I consider that his superpower. So when he says things about the future, I really pay attention. And then sure enough, that happened. He got this job with this YouTube channel. And I'm like, whoa. And then I also observed it in my friend Carrie. So she, unfortunately, she does a lot of articulating about like the negatives. Like she'll say, I have this dark cloud following me around. And and then sure enough, like all these things start happening to her. Like her son got into a car accident. Luckily, he's fine. But then, her roof went bad on her house and the floorboards were all messed up when they were remodeling. And it cost all this extra money to get everything level. And it just seems like she has, because she says out loud, I have this dark cloud following me around. It seems like all these negative things happen to her. And so, what I've had this habit of doing is really paying attention to people who have this channel. And I've seen it in you as well with some stories that maybe you'll be able to share with us. But what I guess I just want to say is that, and I say this in readings, if you have this channel, I don't know what's true or not true, but it's an energy to play with.
Mhm.
And if you have this channel, this 2034 in your chart, play with manifesting things in existence. Pay attention to speaking what you desire and what you want and noticing if those things come true. Pay attention to if you're saying negative things, and then do those things come true. And it's just this energy that to play with. And I wish I had it, because I would totally go for it gangbusters, but I just don't have it in my chart. And I've never one time can think of a time when I've done this. So that's my little spiel about 2034, but would love to like hear your thoughts and your experience with the times where you felt like maybe you've spoken things into existence in your life.
So I don't remember a time that I wasn't connected to manifestation. And what I mean by that, when I was 19, I was given a book by a coworker. We had a Christmas party exchange and she gave me a book, and I'm like, I'm 19. What do I need with this book? I'm like, really? Like, I could have used like something way different, but she gave me this book and I was like, okay, well, whatever, I'll read it. And that book sort of changed my life at that point. And I think that was the purpose of the book, obviously. I mean, little did I know that she was going to set me kind of on this path that I had kind of dabbled with. I grew up in a family that they're very kind of, for lack of a better term, woo woo, especially my grandma on my mom's side. And, she was the matriarch of the family, very strong, and she did a lot of interesting things. And she wrote a lot of poetry. She was very connected to her spirituality. And so, therefore, when I read this book, the book was called The Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. I was like, oh, wait, they actually write books like this? Like, it's not just my weird family, that like there are other people out there in the world that think like this. Like, that was really kind of cool. So I think from a very young age, I had always been quite aware of my language and my thoughts and things like that. And then over the last, gosh, 30 years, just really just being very cognizant, very careful with my thoughts, being careful with my words and things like that. I have definitely had some throat chakra issues, I know. And I think just understanding that my words have always been very powerful, was very aware of. So I would say things like, well, I'm going to do this. And then I would eventually, maybe not in 5 minutes or in 6 months, but I would do the thing. But I was also doing that sort of on purpose. Like, I remember a few examples, I had this massive crush on this boy when I was in sixth grade, had blonde hair and blue eyes. His name was Steven. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to marry a boy with blonde hair and blue eyes. And, of course I did, but I don't know if that was just my soul aligning with the soul of someone that was like their outer packaging, and my soul kind of knew that,
Mhm.
or if it was me saying, no, I'm speaking this into existence. This is what I want. So that, of course, happened. And then there's been so many other instances. And, someone will say to me, just even like out in the public, I'm like correcting people. Oh my God, don't say that. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Like make sure you're very, very strict with your words. If you say, I want to drive a blue car, like I'm going to drive a blue car, then don't go out and look for a red one, because that's not, go ahead and kind of like have your actions match up with your words. And that's something that's been with me for a long time, even before I was aware that this magical gate that I had even existed. But it kind of makes sense now that I see it and you've shared that. I was like, oh, well, duh. I've been doing that my whole life. I just didn't know that it was a thing.
Mhm.
So I just think kind of like some of my past experiences, family influences, books. I've relied heavily on books to kind of guide me through my spiritual journey, through my adulthood. One thing that I was really powerful is I kept saying, we're going to move to this city. We're going to move to this neighborhood. Like, and the neighborhood that we were living in, it was sort of turning kind of bad, to be honest. And I was really scared because during the time, it was during like 2012, 2013, which the housing market really was going a little bit crazy again. And the prices were like, I don't know. They were dropping, they were right. I don't know. It was really just a crazy scenario. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, wait, it was dropping. That I remember now, because I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to write a check to leave this house that we're in to go to this new house that I'm trying to create. But I
Mhm.
was like, okay, you know what? It's not my job to worry about the how. My job is to worry about the what. I'm very big on vision boarding as well. So I try to hit my manifestation from all angles. Like I don't discriminate. I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's think about it. Let's put it up and let's look at it. Like, I'm using every powerful, every tool in my toolbox is how I work. So I got my photo of my house. I put it up on my board. I had all the things around it. And again, it's not my job to wonder about the how. That is not my job. My job is the what. So I started just saying, okay, we're moving to this neighborhood. We're moving here. We're moving here. And when it came time, it was magical. I thought for sure that I was going to be the one to like write a check to leave. But I ended up getting a check to leave. We were able to leave the house, get into this new house that we love in a neighborhood that we love. And we actually got money back, which I thought was not going to happen, especially during the time frame that we were in. It was like 2014 when we moved into this house. So
Can I ask a question?
sure.
How long did it take? Because sometimes when people talk about manifestation, like even other people talking about manifestation, but we, how long did it take from maybe the time that you were saying, okay, I have this desire to do this thing and you're speaking about it to it actually happening? Do you remember?
Well, it was about 2 years, to be
Okay.
honest.
So it
And
wasn't like it happened in like a quick fashion in this
no,
case.
but there have been times where things
Okay.
have happened very quickly for me. And
Okay.
I cannot tell you the difference. It wasn't like, oh, it was a big thing, so it's going to take longer. No, not necessarily. I don't think that matters. And I can't tell you the why about that or
And we're not supposed to know the why, right? With manifestation, it's more we know the what we want
yeah. But the
and
why and
the,
the how is like, well, you know, yeah, so that took about 2 years, and for all I know, it would have been sooner, except for the fact that I really drug my heels
mm,
on the process. And I will share one more story about that process. Okay, so here I am, doing all my manifestation. We're moving to this, we're moving to that, and then the fear, I dug my heels in, and you know we make plans and God laughs, because then it wasn't too much longer after that where someone took a crowbar to our front door.
oh geez.
Yeah. And so here's my front door split open, and I thought to myself, okay, it's like one of those things where it's let go or be dragged. That was the universe saying, listen, you've been trying to manifest this. We're trying to give you this, but now you're being obstinate. Now you're being stubborn. And now we're going to move you along, even though you may not like this process. So I feel like that was also part of the whole thing. Was here I was trying to manifest this thing, but then I was fearful about how it was going to all happen. And I couldn't really even envision it. And then someone took a crowbar to my front door, and I was like, oh, hell no, we moving now. I was like, okay, I hear you loud and clear, because what I was concerned is if I didn't heed that warning, what was going to happen next to move me?
Right. And what action did you take? Was it listing the house? Was it
Yes.
okay.
It was like, okay. So basically what happened when unfortunately the person took the crowbar to our front door, at that very moment that happened, I made that conscious decision that nope, the time is now. We are selling. Now, we didn't sell right away because we had put a contract on a new house for new construction. But I think it was just the decision. Like that moment was like, oh, nope, no more
Like
dragging.
energetically you aligned with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Energetically, I was like, we are done here. I am not playing around anymore. I'm not gonna wallow in this fear that I've been having. We're done. And unfortunately, something bad turned into something good. And again, that goes back to my words and going back to my, like, okay, we've got lemons. How are we going to make lemonade? And obviously there's a lot of situations that happen in our lives that are really crappy. But then it's like, do we want to wallow in the crappiness, or do we want to go, okay, where's the joy? Where's the opportunity? How is this going to serve me? How is this going to, how can we turn this around into something positive? And I don't exactly know where that comes from, but I'm just that's how I am. So, and that's basically why, what happened with that situation is I definitely made the energetic shift in that moment that nope, I, fear out the window. I don't care anymore. We're moving.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Okay. And do you have any other small or big stories you want to share about channel 3420?
Well, it's always exciting what is on the horizon next. And so, I mean, I'm currently in the middle of manifesting lots of things. And when one thing gets fulfilled, then just something else on the list bumps to the top.
Mhm.
And it's always a matter of growing and a matter of just like what is next. And I'm very fortunate I have a mom who would say that it's okay to want for more, because if you don't want for more, then what's the point of getting out of bed in the morning? So I don't look at me wanting more as that my cup is never full. My cup has always been full.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of what exciting adventure lies ahead. And it could be a materialistic want. It could be a spiritual want. It could be a lot of different wants. Wants are not always in the physical forms. And I feel like manifestation can be in all things, not just things that are things,
Mhm.
not just money, not just houses and cars and things like that. I mean, those things are important. We live on earth. We live on earth. We have physical bodies. We're here for the physical experience. And I think to deny that would be a shame. Otherwise, we'd still be, ether. So, but we're not. But I have a lot of other cool things like that I feel like I'm manifesting now, like fulfillment and satisfaction and happiness. It's always ongoing, as well as all the fun physical stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you and I talk about manifestation a lot, and I think we just in our personal conversations we talk about, oh, I think I got this sign. What do you think this means? Or we'll share tidbits, or we'll share memes, or we'll share inspiring quotes or things like that. So what are your favorite manifestation people? I don't want to say guru because I don't want to guru anybody, but like what are your favorite manifestation people or processes or tools that you use frequently? Because since you have all of the, you don't discriminate.
No, I don't discriminate. So a couple of years ago, I discovered Audible because my day job, I work in sales. So I'm in my car a lot. So I
Yeah.
decided to get Audible. And since I got Audible, probably about 2.5 years ago, I have read, gosh, probably 30 books at this point. So in the course of like 2.5 years, that's a lot of books. That's probably more books than I've ever read before then. And
Mhm.
a lot of times I use up my credits so quickly that I sometimes will read the same book like
Yeah.
two, three, four times until I'm waiting for my next credit. And sometimes I can't take it and I have to buy extra credits because I get so excited about, I just want to learn more. So that's one of the things I feel like that has really changed my life is being able to have access to Audible. And during my time that I would otherwise just be listening to the radio or something, definitely I listen to podcasts. There are, of course, two that are my favorite, which is Amanda Francis and Catherine Zenkina. I also watch a lot of YouTube in the morning getting ready.
Mhm.
So I watch this lady. She's hysterical. Her name is Gemma, and she's out of the UK. She does Gemstone Tarot. So she does tarot every single day. I don't even watch it for the tarot because she's so cute and she's so funny that I just watch it for her. And like she has cats and her cats will like jump up on the board or the cat's sleeping, in the background behind her on the bed. And so I
Mhm.
really enjoy watching her every day. And I feel like she's very lighthearted and she kind of gets my day started like on a high note because she's just cute and adorable and she says funny things. And so that another thing that I do is I definitely use vision boards, and I've recently made a couple of new ones. I haven't had one in a while. I just wasn't ready to have a new one, but I did make a couple, and this time I have three. So I have one for my business, one for travel, and one for my home. So they're like three separate boards, and I just kind of look through things that make me feel inspired, and I put them on the board, and then I keep them out in my office, and I just look at them if I can daily. And I also have whiteboards that I write on. And
Where do you get your images? Do you print them off from the computer or do you do magazines?
it's mostly magazines, to be
Okay.
honest. And also there are times when like I have a floor plan. I got that off of Pinterest and I printed it. I have a printer at home, so I printed it and I put that on there. So that's how I do that. And then I have whiteboards that I write on. And so my whiteboards, I have two. One is for like ideas and things like that. And it's also magnetic. So I put stuff up there. And then the other one is more of a evolving to-do list and kind of like a wish list of things that I want to get done or that I'm working on. And like I said, the other one's more for like spontaneous ideas. I like to write things down. So one other example of me voicing something into existence was a couple of years ago. Oh, actually 4 years ago now. I was not fulfilled in my job at all. And I knew that, I've been doing the same job for a really long time. And I decided, it's time for me to really create something new. So I decided to get my whiteboard out and I wrote down like a bunch of things that I wanted in this new job. I didn't know what kind of job it was going to be exactly, but I wrote down things like this year I doubled my income. I am surrounded by people who love and appreciate me. I get paid for being myself. My coworkers inspire me and they respect me and they love me just like family, like things like that. And every single thing that was on the board actually came true. And it was really cool.
That is
And
awesome.
in the new job that I had. So it was really cool. That really inspired me because I felt so seen and heard by the universe, let's say, that I really like tapped in and universe was like, here you go, So, but and then I would read it, every day I would read the list and I, would see it, I would speak it, I would read it out loud, and then I would like feel it. I would visualize myself in the job, whatever it was. I didn't know exactly what it was, but all of those things around me. So, and only one of them was about money. The rest of them was the feeling of fulfillment and feeling of community and partnership and feeling honored and loved and respected. So, going back to what we were saying previously, it's not always just about money. A lot of times it's, fulfillment.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I did for my vision board? I actually took images from the internet. This is like lazy person's vision board. Took images from the internet and I put them or arranged them on a Word document and then printed that Word document.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then you were talking, I was thinking, oh my gosh, one of the images on my vision board has come true, the debt free, because I wanted to be debt free and I became debt free like a month ago. And it was not, how do I say this? It was some kind of divine intervention because I had over $20,000 of student loan debt and I had thousands of dollars of credit card debt and it was gone in a flash.
So
And
cool.
I won't get into all the like ins and outs of that, but like some things happened and I was just like, holy crap, like what's going on? And now I'm like, boom, I'm debt free. And I'm like, whoa. So, I mean, it really does work. And I think I need to update my vision board. So anyway, I will put the gemstone tarot because I do follow her as well, and I'll link her in the video as well. So anything else about manifestation? Manifesting generators talking about manifestation.
Well, there is one more story that happened recently, and I
Okay.
believe it was after talking to you in regards to feeling a little bit anxious about dropping a little bit of coin on something and
Mhm.
then wondering if that money would be replenished.
Yeah. Oh,
And
I have a story about that too. Go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So basically what happened was I really wanted this something so silly, but I really had been like eyeing these sunglasses for my birthday. And my birthday came and we celebrated it and it was great and wonderful. But I always like to buy a little something for myself, And every year I just like, okay, what am I going to buy for myself this year? Like I always have done that since I can remember, even if when I had no money, it was always something small, but now, it's a little bit bigger now. And I really wanted these sunglasses, but I felt like, ugh, do I really need these? Whatever. Like, oh my gosh, they're kind of expensive. Do I really need these? And I think I had a conversation with you. My birthday had come and gone past, and I kind of like, whatever, I forgot about it. And then I don't recall the conversation that we had, but I do remember it was something similar, that you had decided to go ahead and spend the money, and that like a couple days later, the money was just boom, replenished.
It was actually that day, but I'll tell that and when you get done.
Okay. Well, I don't know what happened, but I was like, dang it, I'm going to go get those sunglasses. So I did. I did. And I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna part with the money. Like, all the money that I spend comes back to me twofold. Well, that wasn't actually twofold. We had been waiting on this insurance check. We'd had a situation with our house. We'd had an attorney, and the case had been closed. And so we knew that this money was supposed to be on its way, but they really didn't give a time frame. We signed the paperwork, and they were like, well, we don't know. It could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. They've agreed to it, but that doesn't mean they actually pay. Well, I went and got the glasses. I enjoyed them for about a day. And suddenly I get an email from our attorney saying, your check is in the mail. It should be with you in a couple of days. And I was like, oh my gosh. It was magical. It was awesome. And I thought, okay, there it is. Now, does that mean that I go out and spend thousands of dollars on things that I don't need? No, but it was just an example of me trusting that this thing that I wanted, it was almost very like symbolic, like it's okay.
Mhm.
And it will be replenished. And it was replenished many, many times over by the settlement check that we were due. But with, no, not even knowing when it was coming, I just trusted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
So
can't tell you how many times that has happened to me, where I trusted that I was supposed to do this thing. I plunked my money down, and then a few days later, like boop, suddenly, random checks just show up in the mail.
yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. You introduced me to Amanda Francis and her specifically her book. What's her book called? Oh,
I have it
Rich
here.
AF. There you go.
Yep, yep, there it is. Boom.
Yeah. And one of the things she talks about, she doesn't talk about necessarily like willy-nilly, just like running up your credit cards and just spending money, but she does talk about spending money from an energetic place of worth and and the way I understand what she says is of feeling into the next level that you want to go into. Did you understand her that way? Would you describe it like that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's like if you want to raise the ceiling and you want to go to a new level, you energetically want to push and feel into that. And but then you also want to almost kind of take some leaps of faith from a very like empowered place. So again, not just randomly blowing up your credit cards, but actually this past March, when this might have been the story I told you. I actually have two, but in March, a friend came to visit me in where I was living in Florida, and she and I love to go out to designer shop. So I have this like super boho side of me, and then I have this like random like loves designer clothing side of me. I just do. I love fashion. And so we were at all the designer shops, and we were getting ready to move, and it takes, and we're moving across the country, and it costs thousands of dollars to move, and we were using credit card to do that. At this point, I mean, I had saved some money, but then we are like filling in the rest with credit cards, and there's nothing wrong with having credit cards, by the way. I don't see credit cards as a bad thing, but anyway, so we went shopping, and before we went, I was like, I really, there's a specific bag that I'm looking for. I really want to get it. And I really want to feel in this place of power about doing it. And so before, I don't know if you want to say I was psyching myself up, but I was really trying to just step into my power about it and be like, my friend is here. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to enjoy all the things, and I'm going to get a freaking bag, and it's going to be fine. It's going to work out. So we went to the shop, we went to Burberry. I got the bag that I wanted, and I actually bought something else. I think I got a wallet as well. And I'm not joking. We went back to the hotel. I had an email from my company saying that they had given me a bonus that was 2 times what I had just spent. And I even texted my husband, and he's not really into manifestation or whatever. And I was like, Wow. Okay.
Yep, that's crazy.
I don't know. There's something to be said about playing with this energy of spending and buying something that you really want with the intention of up leveling and kind of feeling into the next level that you want to be. So I don't know. There's something there.
And also just understanding that if you've that money can be replaced. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it doesn't happen for everybody. Maybe they don't believe that it could happen, but I mean, I did believe that could
Yeah.
happen, and then it did. And I think part of it is the belief, and
Yeah.
part of it is not coming from a place of whether you're worth it or not, or
Right.
whether, yeah. So I think that's part of it. It's just
Is,
believing
is
that
understanding that money is energy and it's
yep,
always flowing. And if you hold
always
on to it, if
yep,
you don't spend, you're not letting it kind of go out into the world and it's not going to cycle back, right? So understanding and kind of believing that money is going to constantly flow to you. Yeah.
definitely.
That's
Hmm.
definitely a shift that I've had to make because I think I've always had more of that lack mentality of where I didn't want to spend. I'm just, yeah, I've done some kind of crazy things. I would call it crazy, but I've left like crazy tips sometimes if the service was really good and I've been in an abundant place and I'm like, I'm just giving this because I know it's coming back to me, like things like that. So those have been the small ways that I've been practicing and like stretching my brain to understand that I don't I'm not lacking, like I'm actually abundant. All right, so I think that wraps up our conversation with human design channel 3420. And then we ended up talking about manifestation. So thanks so much for joining me.